Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. On this episode, Bear News reporter Sophie Deutschman is back with an update from the journalism students involved with the Loveland Community Kitchen.
And later on, Bear News reporter Quinn Hodge joins us in the studio with her exclusive on how the Greeley Police Department and UNC Police work together to combat campus crimes.
We also have an exciting profile story on someone that is not your average classmate. All that and more on this edition of Bear News. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Catherine Stala. As we continue to produce our newscasts on YouTube and work to a live show on Facebook Live next month, stay up to date on all things Bear News in the UNC community on our socials. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bear News UNCO.
And I'm Austin Sack. We start things off tonight with a COVID update. Stress about COVID at UNC? You can take a deep breath. Behind your mask, of course. The Colorado Department of Health announced its new dial system on February 5th. As a result, Weld County moved from a risk level orange, high, risk to risk, to a risk level yellow, concern. What opportunities does this open for university students on campus? Well, tonight, Bear News reporter Camille Kleiman takes a look at those recent updates to UNC's COVID-19 policy.
Fewer people are testing positive for COVID-19 in Weld County. As a result, campus life is beginning to start up again. With the move from code orange to code yellow, in Weld County, the university announced adjustments to class and student leisure policies effective as of February 6th at 9 a.m. According to the university's website, in-person and hybrid classes are capped at 100 people while continuing to maintain social distancing guidelines. Virtual and online-only classes will receive no changes. UNC plans to keep all residence hall open through the end of spring semester as planned. And if you're planning on having people over, you're free to have as many as 10 people at a private gathering, as long as they're from no more than 2 households. Students hoping to grab a meal at Holmes Dining Hall on West Campus might be happy to know that seating is now open to a maximum of 65 people, with grab-and-go options still available to all students. If you're hoping to make it to the rec center this semester, it can now host up to 50 people in its strength and conditioning area. However, reservations are still required to participate, and of course, masks as well. And club and intramural sports will both be increasing activities. Indoor intramural sports are in person at the rec center from 6 to 9 p.m. Participants are encouraged to social distance, sanitize equipment, and of course, wear their masks. Masks, sanitizing, and social distancing will also be required for club sports as well, and activities will have differing restrictions based on whether they are high, medium, or low contact. As vaccinations continue to roll out, students should hope that Weld County can be at level green by the time all in-person fall semester starts in August of 2021. Reporting from Greeley, Colorado, I'm Camille Kleiman, Bear News.
If you want more information or updates about the university's COVID-19 guidelines, visit www.unco.edu/coronavirus.
In last week's show, we told you about a journalism and media studies class helping the Loveland Community Kitchen with publicity and fundraising. Well, this week, Bear News reporter Sophie Deutschman tells us about how the JMS 481 students went to the Loveland Community Kitchen last week to meet their client and get footage of the kitchen.
Students arrived around 4 p.m. right as the staff were preparing a meal of chili with cheese, jalapeno cornbread, and Mexicorn. Patrons got to choose between juice, milk, coffee, hot tea, hot chocolate, or water. Donations to this kitchen help keep hot meals on the way. JMS 481 students have raised over $3,900 as of February 15th with their efforts in the 15 for 15 campaign. Students got to see the kitchen in person on Wednesday and meet the community they're campaigning for. Executive Director of the Loveland Community Kitchen, Sandra Wright, talked about an impactful memory.
I was talking to someone it was their first time at the kitchen, and in talking with this man, I asked him what brought him to the kitchen, and he said that he had recently been laid off, and he was working in the restaurant industry, and that was such a moving moment for me as I realized that last week he was serving me at a restaurant, and this week I'm serving him at the community kitchen.
Jordan, a frequent of the kitchen, talked about misconceptions of homeless people.
the fact of being homeless isn't always a choice. You don't know what medical conditions a homeless person may have, which may benefit to the reason why they're homeless. Everybody wants to just look at the homeless and think the worst because that's what they've experienced. We get stared at a lot. We get ignored a lot. And it's like, you know what? We are all human beings.
Reporting from Loveland, Sophie Deutschman, Bear News.
The JMS 481 students are still working hard to raise $15,000 by the end of the campaign on March 3rd.
The news we all have been dreading could officially be here. UNC could increase its tuition rates soon. After the Board of Trustees met for 2 days last week, it isn't a question of if, it's a question of how much.
UNC's Board of Trustees met twice last week to discuss the university's financial future. The Finance and Audit Committee meeting on Thursday began with a discussion of what UNC is doing, as well as President Feinstein's Rowing Not Drifting 2030 plan. The plan includes resolutions to improve retention and certify UNC as a Hispanic-serving institution.
I certainly didn't come to UNC to be the president known for just cutting budgets. I came here to support the successful attainment of all of our students' ambitions and dreams.
But conversations quickly turned to a plan to potentially raise tuition rates. Right now, UNC is the most affordable research institution in Colorado. Even if UNC increased its tuition by 7%, it would still be the 5th cheapest school in the state.
I believe it's clear that we need to raise tuition.
Since the two meetings, President Feinstein sent out an email explaining both the 2030 plan and the tuition increase.
Last week, we brought you a story about the UNC Police Department and campus crime. This week, Bear News reporter Quinn Hodge took a look a little deeper into our story about the police forces that keep the UNC campus safe.
The UNC and Greeley Police Departments communicate about the crimes and incidents that happen on campus. They also collaborate for trainings and drills throughout the city. I had the opportunity to speak with Deputy Greeley Police Chief Mike Zeller and UNC Police Department Captain Rick McNair about how they work together.
The UNC Police Department only consists of 16 officers, so when help is needed, they call the Greeley Police Department to come in for help with investigations or if the crime has taken place both on and off campus.
Overall, we have a good relationship. I think they rely on us for more serious incidents when they, have resource needs beyond the number of officers on campus, and we rely on them, when we have interactions with students or those sorts of things, and we need additional info on campus policies and that sort of thing.
And, I got to tell you, we work really well with Greeley. There's certain times we're a smaller agency. So if a disturbance occurs or a motor vehicle theft or that type of thing, we don't have that many officers sometimes. And they will come over and they will assist us. We'll say, hey, can we have a Greeley officer come and assist us? And then they can assist us.
I think UNC is a vital part of Greeley and has been for a long time. So yes, I definitely think that.
The relationship is symbiotic. The UNC Police Department gets help because of the larger force in the Greeley Police Department, and the Greeley Police Department get the benefit of having a college campus right in town.
If you have a crime or incident to report to the UNC PD, you can do that by calling 911 or reporting like normal. Also, if you're interested in being a student dispatcher and working with the campus police, contact Captain Rick McNair.
The UNC police really do care about what is going on around campus, and we are glad the Greeley police are looking out for us as well.
If you're looking for a job or help with your career goals, head to the second floor in the University Center. The Center for Career Readiness offers support for those who want a bright future. The center has a positive atmosphere where career counselors offer a 30-minute in-person or virtual session to help students and alumni to figure out what kind of job they want or what their strengths and weaknesses are before looking for a job.
Career counselor or graduate assistant Justin Haas explains his role as a counselor and how much he can help students and alumni and find their future jobs. That's my
Students come to our office to receive support in anything about career and anything about finding themselves within their major. So really, I hold appointments and I help students with creating their resumes, cover letters, CVs. I also help strengthen interview skills from holding mock interviews.
To make a virtual appointment with a career counselor, you can log into Handshake and look under the Appointments tab for the Schedule New Appointments button. Please be sure to follow the instructions while scheduling a virtual visit. We're joined now by meteorologist Mackenzie Lake. Last week's forecast was super cold. I hope this time you have some news of warmer weather for us, Mackenzie. What do things look like right now?
Well, Austin, we are looking like we're having a little bit warmer temperatures, but not by much. So looking at our current conditions for Greeley, Colorado at UNC Central Campus, we see that we do have nice and clear skies. There are a couple clouds out there, but nothing too bad. We do have some snow still on the ground from those storms we did see last night, and the roads are looking clear and safe for travel. So overall, a little bit warmer than last week, but not by much. Just a nice chilly February day. Tune back again in a couple minutes for our full weather forecast.
Thank you, Mackenzie. She'll join us again later in the show for her full weather forecast, and as long as we aren't looking at single digits anymore, I'll be excited.
Also, when we come back, many UNC students have talents and hobbies outside of clubs and school organizations that might come to a surprise to their fellow classmates and professors. Don't go anywhere.
3 out of 4 Americans know little to nothing about heart valve disease. Yet 11 million Americans are affected by heart valve disease.
If you have symptoms, please don't delay your care.
Physicians are trained to listen to the heart and detect any abnormal heart sounds or murmurs.
Heart valve disease usually can be treated successfully in all patients, regardless of their age, race, gender, or ethnicity. The key is getting properly diagnosed and treated in time.
Please look after your own hearts. You have a lot of living to do yet, so enjoy it.
Act now.
Listen to your heart. Listen to your heart.
Listen to your heart.
Listen to your heart.
Listen to your heart.
Listen to your heart.
Go to valvediseaseday.org to learn more.
Welcome back to Bear News. COVID-19 has affected our everyday lives in many ways. It has created issues with how we interact with people, as well as the activities and the sports we participate in. Bear News reporter Jordan Sherman reports how outdoor sports have been affected by the pandemic and what the differences look like.
COVID-19 has changed and hindered our ability to be active and enjoy the outdoors. Ice climbing is one of the many sports that has been impacted.
You know, everybody's really concerned about the virus, as they should be. So yeah, impact has been obviously wearing masks and then trying to stay more social distant, you know, staying away from people. Working within your own sphere has been relatively easy because your family and your group of friends makes it a lot easier to go out and recreate. But when you're out in other areas with other people that you don't really know, that stuff like that, you have to be a little more cautious on that.
Social distancing is encouraged by the climbing community, and mask wearing is strongly enforced, especially when people are belaying their climbing partners.
Ice climbers are really a family group. Everybody works together. You know, if we're climbing next to each other, people are very willing to share ropes and stuff, but at the same time, they're cognizant that they need to be careful about being around other people. And certainly masks are, you know, required in areas, and we do our best to keep the masks on. It gets a little challenging, you know, when you're climbing and stuff, and typically on the ice wall, you know, you're not next to anybody, and you're definitely more than 6 feet apart. So, you know, we'll take the masks down. But when you're on the bottom in the gorge and just kind of recreating or visiting with other people, you know, we try to keep the masks up.
Ice climbing is a sport that is likely outside of most people's comfort zone. It helps to learn from experts or guides that are experienced if you are new to the sport. Luckily, the climbing community is welcoming and embraces newcomers. interested in ice climbing, which is an added bonus to the adventure sport.
Getting out and still having the freedom, and quite honestly, you know, I get out so much that, you know, the pandemic has had an effect, but being outdoors and enjoying this, you know, the terrain and stuff has really mentally helped me a lot.
Ice climbing is not only a social sport, but is good for your mental and physical health. By getting outside and being active, it helps with your overall well-being. Reporting from Ouray, Colorado, I'm Jordan Sherman, Bear News.
For more information about ice climbing, you can contact an AMGA accredited guide service.
While attending a lecture and sitting next to other students, we may not know everyone's names, let alone their unique hobbies or talents. For example, junior psychology major Spencer McDonald appears like any other UNC student, but outside of class, he's an electronic music producer and DJ. This Valentine's Day, I got the privilege of attending DJ Spenny's live show, performed at Ontario Hall. Spenny has played at several shows in the Denver metro area and has even released some of his own produced music. Although he has only been mixing music for a few years, performing live has been one of the most thrilling experiences for this young DJ's career. Of course, as COVID-19 would have it, social distancing and other precautions have caused major limitations to experiencing live concerts. DJ Spenny is just grateful to share his passion with smaller seated crowds or virtually while given the opportunity during the pandemic.
Yeah, so right now with shows, it's kind of difficult because a lot of the venues that I talk to are struggling really bad right now. Like Ontario Hall had to shut down for months and they couldn't have any type of events. And now that we can have like seated, limited capacity events like Sunday was, it's really helping to like support these venues, support these like small business owners that are at risk of like losing their stage. So I think by continuing to have shows safely and in the proper way, like during a pandemic, it can ensure that the music industry doesn't die during the pandemic and that there's local stages that small artists, up-and-coming artists like me can play on for years to come.
Although performing live is where DJ Spenny can showcase his talent, he says the majority of his work is done behind the scenes.
So live shows is like a really, really small piece of it. That's like one chance to actually get to perform, but there's a lot that goes on in the background, a lot of like production. I've just been working on making new music. I just had my first original released on a label called Nocturnal Waves, and it's called Faces of Myself, and you can stream that on any streaming platform, Apple Music, SoundCloud, Spotify. And so basically just kind of growing from there. I want to keep, you know, building my unique sound, keep producing music, keep growing my skills as a DJ, and making connections in the city and around Colorado.
You can follow DJ Spenny on Twitter and Instagram at SpennyDub, or enjoy his newest self-produced music on SoundCloud, also at SpennyDub. Spencer McDonald has also recently partnered with Monster Energy as a student ambassador to promote a virtual concert for UNC students. We'll have more information about the Monster Up and Up Virtual Festival in later weeks on Bear News.
The Center for Women's Gender and Equity has once again started their annual book club. So why a book club? Graduate assistants Tammy Ortiz and Savannah Grego tell us why.
The book is a great way to make connections, and then we're all just trying to find community also. The pandemic's pretty isolating sometimes for most persons, and so this is a great way to make community, a great way to support.
It turns out UNC's Professor Arthur Zia wrote the book chosen for this semester. It's titled Resisting Disappearance, Military Occupation and Women's Activism in Kashmir.
Dr. Zia is UNC faculty. We have a really great opportunity to be able to join in a webinar style event that we'll be having with Dr. Zia and ask any questions as far as the book or anything related to her research and work.
It's not too late to join. Check out the Center for Women's and Gender Equity page to learn more.
After this short break, Bear News will be back with a look at business with a mission to save the environment.
But first, meteorologist Mackenzie Lake joins us with a complete look at your weather. We'll be right back.
What's more dangerous? A man who isn't afraid of death or one who's found everything to live for?
I asked him if he was proud of me. He emphatically said yes, as he laid his pecan-colored head on my chest, and I went through my mind 1,000 times to figure out what that could possibly mean, and every single example ended in motivation for me. So you may not be afraid to die, but I'm more afraid to let them down. And I found something to live for, which is a dangerous motor forever fueled. See, your thoughts may be involuntary, but my actions are very calculated. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. My sons ain't raised by no coward, and they won't be one either. If this be the measure of a man, the yardstick gonna need way more meters. I take it too far, so they never come up short, because I found everything to live for.
So, Mackenzie, what does our week's weather forecast have in store for us? And please, give us some sun.
Well, right now we are looking at our high temperatures for all across Colorado, so not too much sunshine and pretty chilly temperatures. Denver's going to get all the way up to 30 degrees today. Grand Junction's looking at a solid 39 degrees. And up in the northern parts of Colorado, they're only going to reach about 26 degrees. So overall, a really chilly February day today. Looking at our current conditions for Greeley, Colorado, we will have a high of 30 with a low of 7. And it was mostly sunny today with a couple clouds in the sky, and that will likely continue throughout the rest of the evening. Taking a look at our wind speeds for today, it's looking like a calm day, so we don't need to worry about wind chill or anything like that. But Denver should be reaching about 4 miles per hour. Grand Junction should be seeing some northerly winds at around 5 miles per hour. And up in the northern parts of Colorado, we should be seeing some westerly winds right at around 6 miles per hour. So nothing too bad here, just a little bit of a windy day. Taking a look into Friday, our high is going to be 38 degrees with a low of 18. And Friday is looking like it's going to be a lot more cloudy, so a little bit of a gloomy start into our weekend. But taking a look at our satellite reflectivity, we see that Colorado right over here, we do have some convective storms that will be popping up and might produce a little bit of rain and snow. And taking a look at our Mississippi Valley region, we are going to see a huge convective storm that will be producing a lot of rain. Looking on into our forecast for this weekend, Saturday through Monday, this weekend's looking like a lot warmer than last weekend, so definitely take advantage. Saturday is going to get all the way up to 40 degrees. Sunday will get down to 39, and Monday will be a nice 50 degrees. So we're already heading towards that springtime for sure, so get excited. Then looking at the lows for this weekend, it's going to be 17 on Saturday, 19 on Sunday, and 24 on Monday. I'm meteorologist Mackenzie Lake, and tune back again next Thursday for your full weather report.
Thank you for your report, Mackenzie. Many businesses closed as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, but one starting up is just thriving. Their name is Backyard Farms, and their mission is to save the environment. 26-year-old Leandra Arellano used her unemployment checks at the start of the pandemic to do what she loves, gardening. Having many years of experience, she started with nothing but tubs, peppers, and her Denver apartment, but eventually she worked her way up to managing a small farm in Fort Collins. After losing her job, Arellano says her luck turned around when an investigator gave her office space in downtown Greeley.
I just knew that I had a lot of time on my hands and I wanted to do something that I enjoy. So gardening was what I wanted to do for other people, and so I decided to create a website on Squarespace to do that.
Backyard Farms designs landscapes and gardens for sustainable food production. The company uses zero waste and partners with recycling company EcoCycle. They've worked with 33 clients and netted $36,000 in revenue. They aim to expand California and to Louisiana. With the devastating number of wildfires we saw last year, California could use a company like Backyard Farms. For more information, go to backyardfarmnoco.com. When we return, we'll be back with Aaron Schmidt and our Bear Sports Weekly Update.
This week on Bear Sports, Aaron tells us about a new addition to the UNC football team, as well as a recent death from UNC alum Vincent Jackson. We'll be right back after this short message.
3 out of 4 Americans know little to nothing about heart valve disease. Yet 11 million Americans are affected by heart valve disease.
If you have symptoms, please don't delay your care.
Physicians are trained to listen to the heart and detect any abnormal heart sounds or murmurs.
Heart valve disease usually can be treated successfully in all patients, regardless of their age, race, gender, or ethnicity. The key is getting properly diagnosed and treated in time.
Please look after your own hearts. You have a lot of living to do yet, so enjoy it.
Act now.
Listen to your heart.
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 Listen
to your heart.
Go to valvediseaseday.org to learn more.
Tonight on Bears Sports, Aaron is back with both a UNC football and swim and dive update, as well as a talk of another possible Colorado Rockies trade.
The UNC football team won't even play a game this semester. Sports administrators decided not to participate in the Big Sky 2021 altered spring schedule. The decision followed Montana, Montana State, Portland State, and Sacramento State, who all opted out between last fall and this January. While the players won't be competing in any games, they're still hard at work. With all the new players and coaches added, the Bears are using this time for extra practice and to develop chemistry in preparation for next season. The Bears get a chance to run drills, work out together, and of course, catch footballs before the season starts next fall. The team also says that throughout the spring, they will face regional non-conference opponents in scrimmages for this modified schedule. This schedule is expected to fall in line with the normal spring training calendar. UNC Athletics Director Darren Dunn says the decision was all about player safety.
With so many things going on right now, we felt like the health and safety part of our football team is the most important part in our evaluation if we're going to play or not. So, you know, we looked at a number of factors and it just added up to not make sense to play.
This schedule should limit the risk for the team while still allowing them to build chemistry for the upcoming season. And despite all the COVID restrictions, the UNC football team is working hard to get back to their regular schedule. Most notably, the football team is excited to welcome new players like Dylan McCaffrey and junior wide receiver Darren Mitchell, who thinks he'll help the team in a lot of ways.
I'm Darren Mitchell. I play wide receiver and I'm a junior here at UNC. I for sure think he'll be a great addition to our team. I think he brings some leadership, a lot of experience coming over from Michigan, so I think he'll be a huge add to every room on the offensive side. So just to get him here, it'll be
As I'm
exciting.
sure you know, Dylan will reunite with his dad, Ed McCaffrey, who is the new Bears head coach. Vincent Jackson was arguably the greatest football player UNC has ever seen. This past Monday, the football world was shocked when hearing the news about the 38-year-old Jackson being found dead at the Homewood Suites in Brandon, Florida. In a prepared release, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office said a housekeeper around him found him at approximately 11:30 a.m. Monday. The Hillsborough County Medical Examiner's Office will determine the cause of death, but the sheriff's release said there were no apparent signs of trauma. The sheriff's office says it remains an active and open investigation, and any further updates will come from the sheriff's office public affairs through a press release. We here at Bear News will continue to update you on this ongoing investigation. However, the UNC women's swim and dive team left for Utah and the Western Athletic Conference Team Championships Tuesday after a turbulent season due to COVID restrictions. Many of the student athletes were unsure if they were going to be able to compete this year, but now they're able to face off against the likes of New Mexico and Dixie State at the Western Athletic Conference Championships in St. George, Utah. The conference for swimming will go from the 17th until the 20th. For diving, between the 25th and the 27th. The diving championships take place at the University of Northern Arizona in Flagstaff. The swim and dive team is confident in their ability to win. And after being cooped up due to COVID, they're ready to hit the pool. Bear News will keep you posted about the results of the championships in the next few weeks. And it also looks like the Colorado Rockies might continue to break hearts because another popular player might be leaving the team before the baseball season starts. ESPN reports that the Rocky shortstop Trevor Story could get traded to a different team. Now, it's not official news yet, but ESPN says there are 3 teams Story could play for this year. Those 3 teams are the New York Yankees, the New York Mets, and the Philadelphia Phillies. And if he headed to any other team, he could get a pretty good chance to play in the World Series. Story has been with the Rockies organization since the team drafted him in 2011. He spent some time in the minors before joining the Rockies at the start of the 2016 season. Only time will tell if Story's chapter of his baseball story will end in Colorado.
Aaron, I know you are a major Colorado Rockies fan, and so after getting over Arenado leaving the team, what could it mean for the Rockies if Story joins them?
Well, Austin, I think that if the Rockies want to win a championship anytime soon, they know something we don't in order for them to get to the promised land.
And that will do it for our show tonight. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back right here next week with all your latest UNC news, sports, and weather.
Also, don't forget to follow Bear News for extra story insights and highlights, as well as to get to know our news team. You can find Bear News on Facebook or Instagram at Bear News UNCO. Take care.